Curious about what happens when two strong personalities clash over woke culture. Chris Cuomo's latest woke takes gets completely shut down by Matt Walsh, and the debate is as fiery as you'd expect. Let's dive into this showdown and see who comes out on top. Number 1. Kamala Harris and DEI as a mascot. Ever wonder if leadership choices are more about identity than qualifications? Critics, like Matt Walsh, argue Biden's promise to pick a black woman for VP focuses too much on identity. Meanwhile, others see Harris as a symbol of progress, highlighting the DEI debate.
And Kamala Harris, and this is what she stands for. She is the kind of mascot for all this stuff.
Well, is she the mascot because she's a black woman, or do you believe that her politics are using these concepts unfairly? When you say mascot, what do you mean?
Well, it's the policies, but the real reason is that she was put in her position because she's...
Number 2. Matt Walsh joins News Nation with Chris Cuomo. The debate heats up when Matt Walsh talks with Chris Cuomo on News Nation about his film critiquing DEI. Walsh argues that DEI policies often do more harm than good, using humor to expose what he calls the anti-racist hustle.
Black woman, and that's not me saying that. I mean, that's Joe Biden said that. Joe Biden said that he was going to, when he was looking for a vice president candidate, he was going to look for a black woman, and he ruled out all other demographics ahead of time.
Number 3. Walsh explains the intent of his film. Walsh explains his film's purpose is to show how DEI ideas lead to demented places. He argues that while DEI sounds good, it's based on flawed, divisive ideas about race and extreme left-wing ideology. His film highlights the harmful real-world consequences of these policies.
Then decides to go undercover. Joins us now. Thank you for taking the opportunity.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Matt, what do you hope to achieve with this film?
Well, this is our exploration of the DEI so-called anti-racist hustle, the scam. And so we want to expose these con artists for what they are, the people that are pushing this stuff. But we want to do it, comedically with humor. We want to do it in an entertaining way, which is why as you covered, I go on my own journey of racial awakening, and I listen to these people. I listen to what they say. I try to put their teachings into practice in the film. I let them guide me down the rabbit hole so that the viewer can see by the end of the film where it leads. And it leads to some pretty wild and demented places, frankly. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but we take the path where they lead us.
Number 4. Defining diversity, equity, and inclusion. Chris Cuomo challenges Walsh, saying words like diversity and inclusion can be positive. Walsh agrees, but disagrees with equity. He believes equity focuses on equal outcomes, not opportunities, which ignores merit and places identity over competence, creating bigger problems.
Let's figure out for you what the line is, because I'm sure that diversity, equity, inclusion, these are not bad words for you. So what is the line to where you believe those honorable concepts become something different?
When it's all based in left-wing racial ideology, which these days, I mean, sure, there's a way that you could use the word diversity that doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Number 5. Critique of equity as a concept. Walsh strongly criticizes equity, saying it undermines fairness by focusing on identity over qualifications. He argues that when achievements take a back seat to identity, it hurts individuals and weakens institutions, sending the wrong message and damaging society in the long run. Number 6. Left-wing racial ideology and manipulation. Walsh argues that DEI policies are based on divisive racial ideologies, claiming they paint white people as oppressors and people of color as victims. He believes this binary thinking benefits those in power, creating more division and exploiting issues for political and financial gain.
Well, to sum it up in the most simple way possible, it's the idea that white people are inherently racist, inherently bad, and that nobody who is not white can be racist, and that white people are the author of all the oppression and suffering in the world. That's the belief, and every single one of these DEI people, that is absolutely what they believe. I'm not simplifying it at all. That is what they believe, and if it's grounded in that, then it's evil, it's wrong.
What conclusion do you draw, and maybe you just told us there in the end of that last sentence, but build it out, expound a little for us. What is your conclusion about why the people that you encountered do what you call evil?
Number 7. Kamala Harris as an example of DEI politics. The conversation turns back to Kamala Harris. Walsh argues her selection as vice president was identity-driven, pointing to Biden's promise for a black woman in the role. He insists her pick is more about symbolism than qualifications, showing DEI in action.
Because there's a lot of money in it, and we explore that in the film. In fact, we pay these race hustlers, Robin DiAngelo and others, to be in the film. We put their price tag on the screen because it's part of it's part of the scam. So there's money in it. There's also influence. There's power. There's political advantages. Listen, when people are very obsessively focused on race and they're resentful and angry and they feel guilt and suspicion and all that stuff based on race, they're much easier to manipulate. And that's why they do it. That's why these race hustlers do it in the DEI world. That's why Democrat politicians do it. We have the DEI presidential candidate right now in Kamala Harris, and this is what she stands for. She is the kind of mascot for all this stuff.
Well, is she the mascot because she's a black woman, or do you believe that her politics are using these concepts unfairly? When you say mascot, what do you mean?
Well, it's the policies, but the real reason is that she was put in her position because she's a black woman, and that's not me saying that.
Number 8. Exclusion and the impact on meritocracy. Walsh argues DEI policies prioritize diversity over qualifications, undermining meritocracy. He believes focusing on race or gender as main criteria hurts the system. Cuomo counters that Biden's promise was about choosing a woman, but Walsh sees it as still prioritizing identity over skill.
I mean, that's Joe Biden said that. Joe Biden said that he was going to, when he was looking for a vice president candidate, he was going to look for a black woman, and he ruled out all other demographics ahead of time and only focused on this demographic. That's DEI. That's what DEI is.
Number 9. Gender identity and broader DEI concerns. The conversation shifts to gender identity, which Walsh sees as part of the DEI debate. He argues that identity politics often prioritize how someone identifies over their qualifications, leading to confusion and harm. To him, this is another example of DEI policies going too far.
I believe he only said woman, and he wound up picking a black woman. But he did say he was going to pick a woman, and you can argue that did close off any choice of having a man there, unless it was a man that decided to identify as a woman. But you don't believe that the policy should matter more than the personage of the candidate, right? It's not what she is that is your issue, it's how she is.
Right, that's what we're saying. Those of us who are anti-DEI, our whole point is that what matters is the policies, what matters is the merit of the person. It's when you're in the DEI world, that's where you're dividing people based on race. Okay, you get this because this is your race, you're included because it's your race. No, we don't want you because you're the wrong race. That's the DEI. That's exactly what this film, that's the attitude this film is meant to expose.
In the end, Matt Walsh completely dismantles Chris Cuomo's woke arguments, proving that sometimes a dose of reality is all it takes to shut down the madness. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our latest updates.